middle, so I think we're somewhere in the middle, which is awesome. Basically, Megan and I decided to put this together just with all that's going on in the world today. I think we're all starting to think more about our own technology usage as well as our children's, and we thought, why not use this community if we can to create a conversation for people just to learn, to ask questions. There's a lot of amazing resources near us. Why not take advantage of having them share with us what they know and what they're learning. So I'm going to leave most of this to the panel, but I just want to say a really quick thank you from us, obviously Westport Moms, and then to Christina and the Greens Farms team for having us. Thank you so much. This is an amazing space. And it really shows things come full circle. Actually, Christina's daughter is a good friend of my daughter's at Longmont, and you just never know when different people that cross your path are going to partner with you in some really great way. So we're glad to work together with you guys on this. And now I'm going to turn it over to Tara, who is a family psychotherapist in Westport and has been doing work for over 20 years in the field and has great energy, and we're super excited to have her take it away. So.
Can everyone hear me? Yeah. You can say no. It's really a no if you use it, but I'm going to say no. All right, good. So just really briefly, I wanted to say that I think that this is sort of a new topic. It doesn't feel new because we've been dealing with phones, and if you're dealing with social media as a parent, it probably feels like 20 years that you've been negotiating this with your children or devices. But I hope tonight can sort of be about like empowerment, learning, and not about feeling badly if you've done something that's not what they're all sort of recommending, or if it feels like maybe you've made some wrong turns or you've given some devices that you wish you hadn't. I think that parenting is really hard. In my private practice, I work with kids of all ages and lots of parents. And what I think most of the parent population I see has in common is that like we're all sort of wishing there was a book, like a real one, like a real guide, like not a philosophy, but like just do this every Monday, do this every Tuesday, you're fine, always say no to this, this will always work. And I do see some familiar faces. Any of you who know me know that I say sometimes I'll point to the books on my shelf and I'm like, yeah, but that's not your kid. Your kid's not in there. Let's talk about what's happening in your house, because I think it's hard. And one size does not fit all, even with stuff like this. So I think it's uncharted territory. This is new, right? New things are popping up, new apps are popping up every day. Kids are asking for things, different things that pop up that they know about that we have to catch up, right? I remember learning Snapchat last year, being like, oh my God, I was calling friends, teenagers, being like, you have to come over, I don't know how to use this, just so I could sort of get a grasp. So hopefully tonight we'll all sort of get a different grasp, but I want everyone to feel comfortable and not judged. And if you're secretly sitting there being like, I already did that, it's fine. We'll ask the question. We'll try and sort of, and there's lots of experts here that can sort of help flesh out how we sort of live in this new territory. Okay? I'm going to sort of, this is an amazing, I'm going to sort of step over here, really get rid of this. How do I do that without making it awesome? Great. I'm technologically very challenged. I can't even work a microphone. So I think it would be great if we could just sort of go down the line. I'll start with Maria, and just sort of introduce yourself, talk a little bit about what you do, and maybe one or two sort of significant things or trends or things that you've seen change in your career and in your work.
Okay. My name is Maria Fuller. I am the founder of Raising a Powerful Girl, the podcast and the platform, and the Empowered Girl movement. My background's in health science and women's studies. I'm a mom to two awesome girls, 5 years old and 10 years old. So I'm a parent like you. I am going through the middle of this myself with my 10-year-old daughter, to the point where we have always been a very low technology household. And last summer, I started getting pushback from my 9-year-old who wanted to be on technology. And the way I take my parenting approach with my girls is I always explain the reason why we say no to something. And so my response to my daughter when she wanted to be on her iPad last summer was that, unfortunately, there is nothing on the iPad right now that I feel that is going to be good for your mind, your body, your creativity, and is going to make you feel good. And that's the way I want you utilizing technology. Do you have anything on your iPad right now that does that? And she said no. And I said, okay, great, so we're not using the iPad. And she came back to me and said, well, Mom, why don't you make something? So I got challenged by her, and we actually created something. My work for the last 10 years has focused on working with women and girls looking at body image, self-esteem, confidence, peer pressure, and how that's affecting our girls today. I work a lot with girls one-on-one, and starting with like the 3rd grade through high school level, and I'm hearing from them directly how they're being pressured, how they feel like they have to look and act a certain way because of what they're seeing in the media, the pressures that they have to be on Instagram and Snapchat. They're having to make decisions between studying or actually coming up with the perfect pictures to post, and it's actually causing them stress and anxiety. So I hope today to share a little bit of my experience. Whenever I'm talking to people, I always say, you know, we have the opportunity to learn new information and make changes in our household based on the new information we have. So if you're doing something one manner and today you find information that resonates with you and you're like, maybe I want to readjust how we're doing things at home, don't feel shame about it. Take that knowledge and information and apply it to your family.
I'm David Bernstein. I'm a clinical forensic psychologist that specializes in adult pediatric forensic psychology. I do a lot of work in school safety and threatening behaviors. I spoke at the Senate subcommittee on school safety after Newtown. I spoke recently, New York City had its first college safety symposium at Columbia. I was one of the speakers. I've been the keynote speaker for the FBI National Training Academy, as well as the keynote speaker for the American Academy of Pediatrics annual conference on threats and violent behaviors. One of the major changes that I've seen, and the data bears out, is that many of the people who we identify as school shooters are potential threats to schools. Frequently, there are issues with attachment. We start to see that a lack of connection to others. That lack of connection has, over the last 10 years, and the data supports it vigorously, there's been more loneliness, more isolation than we've ever seen. In fact, hospitalizations for suicide-related issues have doubled between 2007 and 2017. It's significant. Among girls, it's at a 30-year high for successful suicide, and many of them on social media. And so what we're starting to see are individuals, kids, who lack social reciprocity. There's actually now a thought of this thing, sort of diagnosis called pseudo autism, to identify this lack of social reciprocity among a group of kids. There's been great research on this, that kids who spend more than 5 hours of screen time daily, when shown a matrix of emotions, people with different emotions ranging from fear to sadness to happiness to the rest of it, can identify them and show videos of adults and humans in social situations. They have a very difficult time identifying those situations. So we're seeing more isolation than ever before in the elementary school level. What we're seeing is less play. And one of the things we know is that play develops empathy. And so we're really starting to see less and less empathy. And this is creating, unfortunately, an atmosphere where school violence, and particularly targeted violence, is more of a threat than it's probably ever been. There's been a big increase in this type of behavior, largely because of this sort of decrease in empathy. Smartphones, computers, There are those who will say, well, isn't this just an evolution? This is how people still connect. Kids are still connecting on Fortnite, right? I know my 14-year-old tells me that all the time. And, but the reality is the data is clear. It's not a substitute for face-to-face contact. And there's less and less of it. I brought a little thing I can pass around, but it shows loneliness is at a high. Kids aren't driving. Driver's licenses are at an all-time low. Sex is at an all-time low, and unintended consequences. Teenage pregnancy is also at an all-time low. But so is hospitalizations for lonely-related issues. And there's issues like in the 1970s, the average person reported having 3 close friends. Today, it's 1. So it's not only a higher level of anxiety among kids, it's also less opportunity to process that anxiety through friendships. And most guys, I had me, for instance, high school, so, it's kind of wound differently there also. But that's sort of my connection.
Hi, I'm Nadja Strider. I'm with the Center for Internet and Technology Addiction. So I'm more on the treatment side. I get to see people of all ages who are either problematic users of technology or qualify for the new ICD designation of video game addicts. So a lot of my job is kind of teasing out which came first, the underlying issues like social anxiety or compulsivity, or just the seduction of technology. And what I've seen, changes that I've seen in the last couple of years are a lot related to the predatory nature of developers, where they're using persuasive technology, even in the young educational or just age-appropriate games. There's something called confirmed shaming. I'm sure you all know that, like, when you look at a website to buy something and it offers you a discount, if you're willing to give them your email address, and either you can say yes, or it says, no thanks, I don't want to save money. And you feel kind of like ashamed and embarrassed by that. But on the kids' apps, they've got a little cartoon figure who starts to cry when you don't buy, the package that they're asking you to buy. So there's just that whole predatory aspect is really troubling for me. I am seeing a lot of distracted parenting, which I'm sure you all hear that a lot. So, technology has allowed parents to be home more and physically present more, but the demands that are placed on parents because you can be available and because you sort of trained your world, so people expect responses from you. So you're physically available, but emotionally unavailable more often than you might realize or is desirable for your child. And that's just very, very confusing for them. As David said, I'm seeing increased, skyrocketing anxiety and depression, and just, all kinds of mixed messages. Like, my kids are a little older, and I feel like the messages that parents are getting now, is you need to be hyper vigilant about everything. You're at the same time you're destroying your children because you're helicopter lawnmower parents. And I feel very disturbed by that, because I think a lot of times that just results in either throwing your hands in the air and saying, I don't know what to do, so then you become a less active parent, or your anxiety level raises to a point. I see a lot of parents who, I don't say to them, your kid is not the issue. It's like, I don't need to see your kid. I need to see you. Chill out. And then I think the other mixed message issue is related to kids, where we've got this relentless parenting going on. We have everybody signed up for a million activities, and we want everybody to be always doing their best, and everything needs to be productive. And it's got, what are you doing is that productive time? But yet they need to be bored, and we're not ever allowing them to be bored. We are not okay with our kids being bored, let alone ourselves being bored anymore, because we don't have to be. So that's a lot of what I'm seeing. It's problematic. But not the end of the road.
But we're gonna talk about solutions.
Yeah, I got lots of solutions.
We're gonna talk, like,
But I want to validate, like, how
Yeah.
hard it is, how hard it is to be a parent right now when you are getting these messages about really needing to be vigilant, and at the same time getting the message that you're vigilant, because you won't let your kid go outside and play, or you're not giving them every possible advantage, is really hard. I mean, it's a terrible place to be, and I'm sad my kids are a little older.
I'm Mike Tobacco, owner of QuickTex Computer Specialist, and been doing this for 30-something years. I've been on my own for about 12. I'm a certified network engineer. I deal with computers all day long. And when I first started on a computer, I was using a 12K dial-up modem. It sounded like a fax machine. And we would connect to basically just syntax. It was all just words. There wasn't even any pictures. Then it went into AOL and Prodigy, and we were actually talking to people one-on-one. A couple years later, 5, 6 years later, internet kind of came out. It was in every school. But it wasn't in our pocket. And you'd have to drive home to get to it. Now it's in our face everywhere. It's in my pocket. It's down the street. It's in your car. It's everywhere. And I'm hopefully going to help you guys today feel a little bit better about those devices. We're going to go through a little bit of a guided access tutorial on what to do before you hand that device to your kid to keep them in line, basically, or where you want to keep them, so that they're not on a social media network or talking to some weirdo through a game app or whatever. I'm a parent like you guys. I'm only 6 months into it, and I've thought about this. I know you all laugh. I've been thinking about this for years, and with all my clients, I always try to stress stuff to them, and no one's really seemed interested until today. So, to be honest, I'm really happy that all of you people are here, because there are things that you guys can do that are very easy, like super easy. There's programs that you can do. She just told me about a new one that I never even heard of. The problem, though, with programs is that there's one today, there's another tomorrow. I can't tell you what's going to be the best one out there. I really can't. But with your Apple device, you're already halfway there, because they come with parental controls. Your Androids, not so much. It's a little bit, it's a little bit more fine-tuning with it, but the Apple devices are great for your kids. I've been on Apple devices since I was a young boy myself, and they really are geared towards the well-being of your kids. They do have that in mind, and I know that, because they wanted to put all these things in place for that. Even their Safari is, now it's more privacy focused, so they're not tracking you. I do have some handouts in the back on the guided access in case we go through it and you guys don't get it. And I'm happy to help with whatever.
Hi, I'm Diane Seaman from Minnesota Elementary School. I'm a fifth grader, and I'm also in a workshop. So we use technology a lot there, and we do a lot of presentations and write-ups.
So this is my stay with you. So we thought it would be great to have sort of our audience here, right? Kids, I think most of you are here because your child has brought up using devices or asked you for something or wanted to put something on their phone or wants iPad time or has told you when all of their friends got on the phone. And just talking a little bit with Diane, she's talking about how she doesn't have a phone, she uses technology, and have a real easy question for you. I told her she could sort of teach us, right? Tell us about your social life. Tell all of these people everything you say. Not kind of whatever you want to tell us. But tell us how it is to sort of be a fifth grader. How many of your peers have phones? How how do you feel socializing without one? And what's it like? Like, what's it like being a fifth grader exposed